Titter pigs, oh yeah. They're gonna talk about sweet, sweet RPGs. And it's the Titter Pigs, the RPG podcast. Am I getting paid for this one?
Hey listeners, welcome back to episode 58. Scott, 58. We've crested 50. We're almost to 60. God, We are getting old. I can see the crow's feet, the wrinkle lines. But God, we look beautiful.
Yeah, only 7 more years until retirement.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
we are not retiring. We are going to go. We're going to be centenarians. That's what we're going to be.
Exactly. I mean, hey, this is what keeps you alive and young.
Doesn't the government give us a benefit for that?
I mean, not the current.
Oh no,
one.
not under this administration. Just saying.
All right. Yes, episode 58, and there is a fine and wonderful interview coming after our introduction here in the next segment. But before we get to that, it's been a while. So what's new with the Titter Pigs? Keith, what have you been up to, and what's new and what's going on?
Not a whole lot's new, but I've been plugging away at my Twilight Struggle game. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not Twilight Struggle. Why do I always mix these up? My Twilight 2000 game. Oh, I know why I mix them up, because Twilight Struggle is like my favoriteest, everest board gameist.
Well, from what you've told me, I think it's apt either way. So
yeah, right. It has been a struggle. You are not wrong. Now, it's been a struggle on two fronts. Scheduling has been kind of a struggle sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we're all adults and we all have lives and families and everything else. But I am admittedly struggling with the rules. Not that they're hard rules, but there's a lot of rules.
Okay.
A lot of subsystems, like if this is happening, these are rules. If that's happening, these are rules. So like a lot of compartmentalized rules, which I don't normally have a problem with. Like if I'm playing a tabletop war game, like a big hex encounter war game, like Advanced Squad Leader.
Sure.
But I have a big 3-ring, literally a 3-ring binder rule book to reference. And I just, pause the game, flip through a rule book. Oh, these are the rules. Parse them, go.
Yeah.
And it's a thing. Well, when you're playing a role-playing game, we all know you don't want to pause the fiction, the story to like reference rules. So you go off the cuff, and then usually I fuck it all up, and and I just err on the side of the story and the fiction, and that's what we've been doing, and it's been working. But God, as I get older, I'm favoring rules-like games.
Yeah. Anything in particular? Because it's foundational to the Free League system of
Year Zero?
Yeah.
So it's not that it's Year Zero specific issues. It's
okay.
Like I get the base mechanics, right?
Sure.
Attribute, skill, roll, succeed,
right.
That stuff, that's all ingrained. I got that. That's not a problem. But it's, okay, if you're firing your weapon, these rules apply specific to that. If you're driving a vehicle, these rules are going to apply specific to that. If you're traveling, these rules are specific to that situation. Everything has situational rules.
Right.
And some rules overlap with this situation and other rules overlap with that situation. And then there's like cross overlap between different other situations and this, in different situations. And it's like, I'm just like, my brain's starting to get like lobe tied when it's trying to remember which crosses with which and which applies. And I have like rules reference sheets and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, if I was 12 again, this would be fucking brilliant. When my little dinosaur brain was like swollen with like the ability to like digest all this crap.
Yeah, and all of those aspects may not be important to another Mutant Year Zero style game, but is important
Right.
to Twilight 2000 because of what the game is and how it was presented in the past. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
not really going to get the same experience. So maybe it just could be that, the Year Zero engine may not yield itself to those particular set of simulationist type rules that exist for a game such as this, or it just simply could be like you said, you're getting old and your brain's melting.
I think it's a little column A, little column B,
Right.
but more so column B. I think my brain
Sure.
is just melting.
And you're not using the VTT for Foundry, right? You're just playing the game.
Not for Foundry. So
Okay.
I am using Roll20. I'm using we're using the character sheets in Roll20, and I'm just manually importing graphics. So
Okay.
there is the ability to, click the dice, on the character sheet, and it rolls.
Sure.
But some things have to be like manually massaged and adjusted on the character sheet, and there introduces some other complexities on the player side of things.
Right.
Well, what? That didn't work. Well, fuck. Okay, roll another d6 for your ammo, and
Yeah.
so I love the VTT thing, but Foundry does not work with my ISP
Oh, that's right.
at all. My ISP, for anybody that has Spectrum. We all know the struggle. Spectrum, at least where I'm at, and I think it's company-wide, blocks all port forwarding.
Yes.
Thank you, Spectrum, and fuck you.
Yeah, unless you, and again, I think it's kind of dependent on the area. I'm not aware if it's nationwide, but yes, I've had home clients who have similar issues, and that's just for their home base. If you want to pay double or triple and purchase business.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah. So yeah, you're kind of stuck. That's
so my only option now is to pay the subscription for like Forge or one of those others to host.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that because I'm not sure that I'm gonna this is a trial thing with me with Twilight 2000.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm gonna like fully commit to running like Black Madonna or anything else. I have everything to date that's in print for it.
Sure.
Physically, you can see it over my shoulder.
Yeah. Of course they can.
Well, you can, not the listeners.
No,
but,
I'm joking.
So, I don't know that I want to invest the money at $5, $6, $7 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then buy the additional VTT assets. I have the base model, the base box set.
Right.
But I would have to buy additional assets, and I just don't know that I want to commit the money and then to go, you know what? No, I just don't want to play this game anymore. I don't want to run it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, quite probably, not probably, I'm sure, if I wasn't using it to run Impossible Landscapes, I wouldn't be paying for the Forge also. But just because of the the additional aspects that they provide with the modules,
Sure.
it does make it a lot easier. And other games, I can definitely assure you, if I was looking to run something long term, the classic example is the Warhammer fantasy roleplay, which is exceptional. It's probably one of the best ones I've seen. Yeah, absolutely. But again, and even though my ports aren't closed, I do the Forge just to make it easier on everyone else, because it's also accessibility is not just based on your open ports, but it's as fast as your computer, as fast as the hoster's internet is, and of course the other people accessing it. So it's just easier.
Yeah.
But there may come a day where it's just like, we're done, and then cancel the subscription because I'm not doing anything with it. So, but
yeah, if I had a viable a reason that I could justify in my head, to spend the $5, $6, $7 a month, whatever it is, for it, and then to buy the assets for it, I would totally do it. But right now, I just wouldn't use it enough to justify the expense, so I'm not doing it.
Well,
so
the good news is if it completely just falls apart and you're like, screw this, you can just drop a nuclear bomb and be done with it.
I might just irradiate these little turds and we'll just walk away.
Exactly.
I mean, they're almost to their objective. I gave them a specific each character had kind of a fallback plan in our story.
Sure.
They've decided which fallback plan they want to go after, so they're going after it. They're, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 kilometers from that objective, reaching that objective location, and then there'll be some stuff happening there. So we're probably maybe 3 sessions, I would like to think, away from that.
Okay.
So we're probably about halfway through the story arc. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully it gets better. Sometimes,
We'll
you, and I'm sure you've played witness to this as everyone else does. There is those occasional situations where just, magically, it's just all of a sudden the pieces fit. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, shit. And then everything just kind of falls in line. I had the similar experience when I was, trying to figure out Conan. 2D20 is my first 2D20 experience. And that was banging my head against the wall for so long until I forget what it was, but there was a magical situation where it was either explained or I read something from a different source and just like, oh, okay. And then everything fell in line. So hopefully
it happens.
Hopefully that'll
happen. But that's kind of been what's up with me since the last time we recorded. What has been happening with you?
Well, what's new with me also involves you to a degree. But yeah, I think probably one of the biggest things that happened since last we spoke was we wrapped up the end of the Grey Knight prior to this event, but due to the circumstances from the Grey Knight, we had one more session. So I'll try to make it as brief as I can. So at the end of the Grey Knight, there is a particular situation where, and again, hold on, let me just spoilers for those who are playing the Grey Knight. Okay, I've said it. And if you feel like, you don't want to be spoiled, you can just go on to the segment with our interview with Brian Colin. So anyways, there's an option for a particular lady in the game, Lady Ariete, to end up being married to one of the knights. And one of our knights, Roy's character, Sir Aristelios, fit that hole. That, mind you, it was a square peg in a round hole, but it did occur. The hand of Lady Ariete was offered. He took it. Now, Roy's character, Sir Aristelios, is a different sort of knight in so many different ways. But let's just say he's very oblivious and is wandering through the world of Pendragon, completely unaware of certain things, and yet everything seems to work out for him. And also, he is the most beautiful person next to Lady Guinevere, based on his stats. So anywho, I thought, well, we briefly did a situation with the feast rules as a celebration at the end of the Grey Knight, but I decided let's do it the right way because we kind of cut corners and had some fun with it. Let's do an official feast. So over a course of a week or so, I threw together an actual feast. I added the feast cards to Roll20, and we met up again, and we celebrated the wedding of Sir Aristelios to Lady Ariete, using the feast cards and the feast rules. And I won't go into too many details as what occurred during the feast, but yes, the feast can be a wonderful event, but it also can be very chaotic depending on the cards that are pulled and the cards you select. But it was a lot of fun, and it really kind of enamored me, with the feast part of Pendragon. It's a fun little kind of like mini game situation to earn a little extra glory for your knights, and also can open up several opportunities for future events and stories within the game. But
there's a big but.
But the feast was almost over when some new visitors arrived, and these visitors arrived with their particular style of pomp and circumstance as representatives from the Fae showed up with a gift.
And a gift it was.
And
it was a gift.
And backtracking a little bit, one of the parts of the Grey Knight is you meet with, I'm going to forget their names, but I'm just a lord and lady from the realm of Fae. And in order for you to get the MacGuffin that is important to the Grey Knight, you need to go and do something specific for the lord and lady. And if you accomplish it, you get the MacGuffin, and likewise, there's a big celebration regarding your success, and a big party is had. Now, partying in the Fae is not the same as partying in the mortal realm, and depending on what you do or eat or drink, what you do during the event could be a little hazy. So we'll fast forward back to the feast. And yes, representatives of the Fae arrived with a gift, and that gift was a little baby swaddled in silver cloth. And the announcement was made that, due to, you having so much fun at the party, a particular another event occurred, and they just wanted to drop this package off because, hey, it's not their responsibility, but it's now yours to take care of. And they left it at that with no clear announcement of who it belongs to, other than there's only 2 male knights amongst the players, and that is Sir Aristelios and Keith's character, Sir Eustace.
We don't know who the daddy is.
But both of them partook in the party to the point where they blacked out and don't really recall what occurred. So, and that's where we put a pin on it.
Yeah. So next session, for the record, let's get this on tape. For the next session, whenever we do play again, I am sending out my page from my manor somewhere, and I'm going to send a runner to Maury, and we're going to request an audience with Maury.
Yeah.
And we want a DNA test because I am not the daddy. I am not the daddy.
So, needless to say, that sudden announcement created a bit of a shock and probably will lead to chaos because Aristelius is technically uncle-in-law, but the side father-in-law for Lady Ariete, because her father had passed, didn't look too kindly on Sir Aristelios and his vapid ways and means, and this might have put a period on that opinion, and it could lead to some issues. But
I think there was a lack of that.
Yeah, but they're now married. So it's not like in back then you can just call for a redo based on new circumstances. That's not going to occur in the UK for many more years. So for now, it is what it is. But it'll be a lot of fun when we return to that. Whenever we put it on the shelf to kind of await other offerings from Chaosium and see how that plays out. But that it was just fun. It's one of those wonderful moments as a GM where the bomb was dropped and it had the absolute perfect effect, because I don't think anyone really was expecting it, even though it could have been in the back of someone's minds. I think Neve kind of felt like it was coming. But yeah, and then just like, wait, that's it? It's like, that's for now.
Bomb drop.
Yeah. So that's what's new with me. But we also have something new that involves both of us also. And for those of you who don't follow us on social media, what is that, Keith?
This year we are going to meet up together next month in April at Chaosium Con.
Yes. And so Chaosium Con is a small event. They have no more than 500 tickets available. They sell day passes and whatnot, so it's small compared to other cons.
We're going to take Ann Arbor by storm.
Yes, so we are going there not only with the intent of doing the usual con thing, a bit of socializing, maybe play a game. I'm still kind of pondering if I'm going to run something there or not. I'm just trying to find a good slot that doesn't overlap to other important things there. But yeah, we are going to try to be there, somewhat of a presence as a Titterpigs. Reached out to one of the coordinators who said, well, we've never really had people come here to do podcasting or anything such as that. But, when you get here, if you need a particular space to set aside, you can. So I don't think we'll do anything. I mean, we may do something live on the YouTube stream just to record for fun. But as something official, we may set up and do some recordings depending on what it is we want to discuss or talk about or talk to. And then when we return, we may throw out an episode or two from Chaosium Con. So definitely looking forward to that. It's exciting. It's, and a lot of good people are going to be there representing Chaosium, which will be fun. And there's game-wise, there's a lot of good offerings there that, while there will be the traditional, Chaosium big offerings, RuneQuest, Pendragon, Call of Cthulhu, of course, there's other ones and other creator built games on BRP and other things. So it's looking like it's going to be a good time, and
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and more importantly, you will definitely probably see us with a few libations in our system one way or another while we're there. So if you're going to Chaosium Con, definitely come by and say hi. And if you are someone that wants to hop on the podcast, maybe let us know. We can have you on. We can talk a few minutes about something, but we'll see. We may just set up at a bar and put 2 microphones up there, and I should say 3 microphones on the little portable podcaster that I have, and just see who shows up.
And set up a open, kind of like a open mic, and have a beer and a chat with us kind of setup. I don't know. We're gonna try to come up with some interesting things to do in and around playing games and hanging and meeting up with some friends that we've got some prior arrangements with. But but for those going that want to do meetups or chat about the podcast or beyond the podcast, we're gonna try to do some man on the street kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. We're gonna try to figure all this out between now and the event, and we'll put out the word either through the next episode of the podcast for sure, on our social streams. So just keep an eye out for what our intentions are.
Yeah, and likewise, I don't know if Keith is on there. I'm sure you are, but also Chaosium Con Chaosium has their own Discord channel with a separate channel for Chaosium Con US 2026. And of course, you can reach out there. But our social medias, wherever it is, just give us the good word. Let us know if you're coming, and at the very least, we would just love to say hi.
Absolutely.
Don't feel like you have to have something to say or to be on the podcast. Just say hi. Yeah,
we like meeting new people. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Scott loves hugs. So give Scott hugs.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, we have a very interesting interview that we did, and I'm looking forward to sharing it. Sometimes you talk to someone in the hobby, right? And we've had a lot of wonderful people, a lot of great interviews, and I'm not going to put them on different tiers of what are our best, or what is I wouldn't say worse, but what is our best interviews based on certain things. But every once in a while, we talk to someone where you walk away, inspired, with a little hop in your step, and with some perspective about what is so wonderful about this hobby. And I think we definitely had that with our interview with Brian Colin, who was the co-author of Vast Grimm. With
Colin.
Brian Colin.
I'm going to get this right.
And likewise, co-authored by Ross Brandt. Props to him also. But have a listen. This is a great interview, and I feel if you don't walk away with just wanting to do something or make something or create something, I would be shocked. So let's get to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hi, listeners. Welcome back to the main segment of our podcast. No, everybody, welcome back to the studio tonight. In with us, hanging out in our little fireside chat is Brian Collins. Ta-da! Brian Colin or Collins?
It's actually Colin, which, Colin. But I don't get bent out of shape about any of it.
Sweet. Thank you. Do not rake me over the coals next time we see each other at a convention. That would be great. Thanks.
We'll see. Only time will tell.
Yeah, great.
No, with the last name like that, it's good to know that you don't get constipated over mispronunciation of your name.
I mean,
so.
I have such a hard time remembering people's names as it is, and then I start second-guessing myself and getting inside of my head. But I will recognize anybody's face from like a convention like 5 years ago and be like, I know you, but, names are names. It's not
True
a big
story.
deal.
True story. He did that to me back in November, saw me walk up, and he goes, I remember you. And he couldn't remember my name, but it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, well, welcome, Brian. We definitely appreciate you coming on and look forward to talking about Vast Grimm and all things such as that is associated with it. But
Thank you.
What we like to do with all of our guests is we like to see if they're interested in telling us what their origin story is, what got you into gaming. Mm-hmm. You'd be shocked and surprised that I don't think we've actually had an exact story twice, because the default
right, everybody
is
gets in.
Yeah, the default usually is I found D&D, but there's usually interesting stories associated with that. So razzle dazzle us.
Sure.
What was your origin story into gaming?
So way back in the Wayback Machine, because I'm an old, I was in fourth grade and I was hanging out with my friends. They were twins. And we lived in townhouses up in Maryland. And on the back porch, there was like a little tiny area of patio area or a little bit of sidewalk. And they had convinced me to go to my house to get some matchbooks because my parents had inherited a matchbook collection from grandparents and they just wanted to burn shit down. So I got these matchbooks and I went over and we were just lighting things on fire. And then their sister, who was significantly older than us, saw what we were doing, came outside, whacked us all in the back of the head, went back inside and brought down the red box for D&D and said, hey, give me those matches, stop burning stuff, do something with your time. And fourth grade in the 80s, and that, like, from there I just kept playing D&D, then a bunch of the Palladium books, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a bunch of the Riffs, things like that, and just over time, but like landed in Fate for a while, up until like my son was young. He was probably 8 or 9. This would have been like 2017, 2018 maybe.
Okay.
I was still playing Fate, but he couldn't get into any of the books, and then I started buying him like the Pathfinder bestiaries and stuff like that because numbers and crunch when you're younger, that helps a whole lot. Got into that up until the point where I first played Borg for the first time, and that's when everything in my brain broke and shifted.
Well, very cool. Well, I think this is the first, Keith, that where D&D was used as an intervention for corrupted youth.
Yeah.
So we'll have to add that to the to our award ceremony that we never have.
D&D stopped pyromania.
Yes, they can use it.
That's got to be an award. I like that. I do like it. Wow.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
So, Borg broke your brain. Love it. So how did you go from like breaking the brain at that point? Were you already game designing then, or is that where you kind of started game design?
So my very first, rewind 10 years. My first time exhibiting at Gen Con, I was in the artist area because I started out by doing life-size to me monster taxidermy. I was creating creatures that were fantasy creatures out of my head, not like traditional dragons, but, weird stuff. I was actually just digging up pictures from that since it's been, this year will be 10 years, to see what my booth looked like then versus compared to now. But that first year, because I had only done shows in the Atlanta area, all of a sudden I realized there were so many other people that liked playing make-believe like I did. And as soon as that happened, I was like, well, I'm already homebrewing stuff about my monsters for my home games. Why don't I make a book? So before that, I met Norse Foundry at Dragon Con, and I pitched them on doing a thing called cartography, which were dungeon crawls in a deck. We did 5 different decks. I snuck in the monsters from my setting into that.
Nice.
And we did adventures for each of those. We did 5e and Fate adventures for that. So that was my first actual published work in the industry. And then I did an art book that was photos of my sculptures along with lore, and then a downloadable PDFs for stats for both 5e and for Fate as well for that. And then I crowdfunded my campaign setting, Bestiary, a box set with clear acrylic pawns, a bunch of things, and that was all like pre-pandemic. And that did okay. I mean, for me, for being like my second or third Kickstarter at the time, it was starting to build an audience, but I brought in other people to do the art for that because I wanted a more comic booky style art. I brought in somebody else to do the mechanics because I hate writing mechanics. It just is not something I like to do at all. Which is, we'll come back to like when we get into the Borg stuff, because that's very like important for me for that side of things. But so those were like my first forays into really doing game stuff and being in the industry. I was a freelance I'd had my own graphic design company since 2009, and I kept backing off and saying no to clients and focusing more on my stuff, even though it wasn't making much money, but I was so much more passionate about it than, doing stuff for like old people's homes or fast casual, like restaurants and things like that.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. What you got, Scott?
No, yeah, no. Well, I mean, so then that rolls into it. I mean, we were all there, when Morkborg dropped, and yeah, it was not just mind breaking for you, but several people when it came out. It quite literally blew up the hobby in so many different ways, and some positive and some negative, because it did kind of draw a line into not just game design, but most definitely in you as a graphic designer yourself, layout and presentation of the games. And some people latched onto it, some people did not for various reasons, but regardless, front and center for many, many years, and still remains so. So if I'm not mistaken, I don't recall if Stockholm Cartel, when Morkborg dropped, if they provided the license right away for people to create games or not. So do you recall that?
So I don't know if it was right away, because I didn't find out about it. One of my friends in Atlanta backed the Kickstarter. And then my friend Ross, who co-created Vast Grimm with me, was the guy that ran it for our Atlanta group. Okay. And it was when I played it for the first time, I got the PDF from him, and then I immediately bought the hardcover book and opened it up. At that point, the license was already in play. Okay. But at the time, there had only been adventures that people had made and stuff just for Morkborg. Nobody had done anything outside of that. So when I realized that I wanted to make something, I emailed them and said, or messaged them, however I reached out to them. I was like, hey, your license says we can use all the rules. Can we really use all the rules and put it in our own book? And they were like, I guess. And so Vast Grimm was the first full self-contained book that was using their rules and the overall concept and themes before it was just adventures for Morkborg itself.
Okay. So
go ahead. Go ahead.
We'll trade. Come on,
All right. So we're on Vast Grimm. So can you give listeners kind of the elevator pitch of what Vast Grimm is and what sets it apart, beside from the other Borg games, besides it being like the first fully fledged Borg game beyond Morkborg?
Absolutely. So the universe is coming to a horrible end. Most of humanity's been infected by one of 6 different strains of parasitic worms. It's a bizarre, over-the-top, B-movie splatterpunk sci-fi romp. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and the thing that really sets it apart from most of the other Borgs is there is this glimmer of hope in the game. There's this fabled thing being built, the Gate of Infinite Stars, which is a way if you help them get all the pieces, maybe you can escape the universe before it collapses. But I always think that if you end up making it through, somebody on your ship's going to be infected, and you're going to just go and destroy a total other universe or parallel spot. So, it has that. It can keep playing for as long as you want it to if you keep wrecking everyone's universes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's like the polar opposite of the this, what is it? The I want to call it the Doom Clock in Morkborg, but it's the Psalms.
Yes, but we do have those. So those do count down. And if they all occur, if those torments occur, then the universe ends. The worms, the Grimm, which are like alien zombie-like creatures that once you're infected with the worms, you can end up being turned into one of them. They take over and humanity's lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the question would be is as far as the first fully fledged book to come from Morkborg, a lot of the adventures and likewise following kind of stick to the fantasy aesthetic, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Why sci-fi? What was it that kind of drew you away from the standard Morkborg setting and aesthetic to create this similar but just totally different 360 or 180 from fantasy to sci-fi?
I just played too much fantasy, and I just wanted, I create for me first and foremost, and I wanted to make what I wanted to play. And so it's like, okay, I want to play weird, goofy sci-fi that's gross and full of body horror and is going to make people squirm a little bit, but there's little Easter eggs with all the stuff that I grew up on riddled throughout it so that maybe somebody else will be like, hey, that's the name of a G.I. Joe character, but spelled differently.
Nice. Okay. See, now we might have hit on a sci-fi that I might actually get passionate about.
Yes. I mean, and it's way more science fantasy. It's not hard sci-fi at all. Kelly from the Dungeon Dudes was it's if you took Guardians of the Galaxy and threw them in an Aliens movie, but I always make it way more like B-movie, just kind of goofy.
More schlocky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, it definitely has all that. The splatterpunk, big punk aesthetic. I've looked at your site. You've got skate decks with your artwork available. So there's definitely that kind of that punk core associated with it, which is likewise associated with Johan and Pele from their end. But there's kind of is more the death metal.
Yes.
Aspect.
I was never into metal. I was always more of a punk kid, and if I could have a mohawk right now, I would. I'm just male pattern baldness sucks.
Well, Keith is giving it a sporting try. So we'll you live vicariously through his hair. Yeah. So another quick question though, and then I'll pass the ball to Keith. So and again, we're all aware of this, and I'm sure you are too. But a lot of when it comes to the Borgs, I'll just call it from here on out. The general approach when it comes to naming your game or adventure is the play on words.
Totally.
Now, yours is probably one of the few, if any, that if you didn't pick up the book or you turn it over and you saw the familiar Stockholm Cartel, information on their license by or whatever it is, it doesn't scream, hey, this is another Morkborg. So you're not leaning on that Morkborg presence to present your game. Again, was this a choice, or is it just how it played out? Or?
I mean, well, at the time, since there were no other books out there, no other full books, I didn't even think to put Borg or Mork in the title. It's I want this to live on its own. I want to respect where it came from, and I want to make sure that I'm not doing anything to make what they did look bad at all, and I want to honor what they've done. But no, if you look at all of my stuff, I have such a big vision of what I want to put out. I want everything I do to stand on its own.
Right.
Okay.
Very cool. So, which is great. Because, I mean, there might be a little bit of Borg burnout by now, but still, it's...
I try to encourage other people to name, if they want to make it something that's a long-lasting IP on its own, to try and name it its own thing.
Right.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah. from the consumer side of things, right? Consumer, reviewer, industry folks, thank you for doing that and encouraging it, because it's more, Borg burnout is real. We go,
totally.
You look at the shelves at your local game store or at the racks at a convention, right? And it's this Borg, that Borg, this Borg, that Borg, or on Kickstarter or BackerKit, it's something Borg, something Borg, something Borg. Okay. it's starting to get old fast.
Sure, totally. And I mean, it's been years now. So, I mean, and there's a lot on the market. So having to find a way to stand out and differentiate yourself and something that will actually I love Raptor Ruckus that is going to be coming out. I like that it stands on its own. It adds its own additional mechanics and things like that, even though it is a Borg hack.
Yeah. I mean, I may have overlooked a lot of good things out there that have Borg stamped on them because they have Borg stamped on them. I'm just like, it's printed on my brain going, no, we're going to stay away.
Right. Some people, they've had enough of that. And I get it. It's like you're ready to try something new or play something different. And if you assume it's going to be the same, which a lot of people will, I can do that.
I'm on Blue Sky. I'm getting into I wouldn't call it an argument, but we're getting into a discussion with our friend Ludovic Keith on how my point being on how labels, there's no shortage of them within our hobby, can very much keep you from trying a game just because there's an associated label with it. One of which, of course, would be, is it a Borg? And most people are going to go, oh God, I am just so burnt out. Meanwhile, that game that someone just suggested would have been the best thing that ever happened to them in their gaming life. So it's the labels can help, but a lot of times can hinder depending on the wonderful camps that exist in our hobby.
They don't exist much. So,
but all right. So
returning back to Vast Grimm super quick.
Sure.
So you've got the core book. You've got a myriad of supplements for it.
Yes.
Oh, hold on. We might have a visitor to the show. Cthulhu likes to rear her head at weird intervals during our show.
It's not her head she's rubbing on your mic, Keith.
I have a cat named Cthulhu. Listeners
Fantastic.
are fully aware of our elder god for the show.
Wonderful.
And here she is.
Hello, Cthulhu.
Yes. Okay. All right. So with Vast Grimm, so for listeners that might want to take the plunge, get into it.
Yes. Now's the perfect time. If you go to BackerKit, you can late pledge on my last campaign. So because of all the tariffs and all that stuff, right before Gen Con, I built out a shed in my backyard that's a 20 by 30 foot shed. And then after Gen Con, I got my own 16 and a half foot digital printer. And I've moved to a zine format and I'm printing all my books myself.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right. So my last Kickstarter broke up the core book into a crew member manual, a network operator manual, which is the GM's, a threat registry. I've got a bunch of adventures. I even had A5 sized retro-inspired binders created. So if you want them with holes or without, I can punch holes in them and you can put them in your binder.
That's your little mini Trapper Keeper looking one.
Yes. So they... So this is my skirmish game set in Vast Grimm, but
good Lord.
So now when I go and run games at the local brewery, I bring whatever inserts that I want in my binder. I bring the binder with all the characters that people run, and I just bring those and I can pick and choose whatever I want to bring. So I'm trying to make things modular. I'm trying to do it all DIY, like I do it myself. And not only did I do everything but the editing in that book, but I also printed it and packed it up and shipped it to you. So.
Well, there you go.
It's
fantastic.
And the unfortunate circumstances about the situation, as you mentioned, the tariffs, which again is affecting just about everyone out there. I got to applaud you because the general position is to, holy shit, this sucks. Whatever we're going to do, and there's a bit of hand wringing and pro clutching, and rightfully so. Yep. But it's likewise, I got to give you props for this sucks, but what can I do to change the circumstances to make this easier? And it sounds like you did it. Now, not everyone can do that, but it's good to know that you yourself have had the opportunity to do that. And it's going to benefit so many people because of that. And it just,
I'm printing out zines for other folks right now, for friends of mine in the industry, friends in Germany that decide to just run a US Kickstarter because of all the stuff. And he runs that. He sends me the files, I print them out, I pack them, I ship them, and then I sell his stuff on consignment at conventions. So
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, applause all around.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. I love that. I love that aesthetic. So I mean, I played Vaskin briefly. There was I believe it was the free RPG day, the one that kind of goes through the guts of the yes.
Yep.
And mind you, well, I had to play it after because this was at my friend's game store that he no longer runs, and it was free RPG day. And I said, well, I'll come there and set up a game and play it. Nobody showed up.
Oh no!
but I ended up running with friends and who were was it friends? No, it was my son and his friends. Okay, because my son is a Morkborg fanatic.
Awesome.
And and he just loves the game. He's done many different things with it, and ran them through it, and thoroughly enjoyed the game itself. It was such a different take from Morkborg and whatnot. And as Keith mentioned, you have no shortage of supplements and offerings for the game. But I guess one of the questions that I have is are most of them essentially just short adventures like in the vein of Morkborg, or does Vast-Grimm have any sort of overarching campaign that's being provided to it for people who might be interested in something like that, rather than just the one and done aspects that kind of come with a Morkborg type game?
So I had mentioned earlier the Gate of Infinite Stars kind of concept of being able to escape the universe. That is a 6-issue ongoing campaign-style adventure series. The first 2 are out. The third one is is part of the late pledge on backer kit now. Mm-hmm. So before the end of 2026, all 6 issue or adventures should be out at that point. So there are ways to keep this as more of a long-form campaign, because I don't want people to just think this is a one-shot game. If you want to play it that way, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And each of those adventures can be taken and played just on its own, but there's ways to piece them all together so that you're trying to get all the pieces to the gate and escape.
Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Now, I know when you and I connected in November at Mythicon.
Yes.
We talked and you were showing me Plunderlust.
Yes.
Which is your card game. I don't want to say it's an adaptation because I don't think that's quite
no, but it's set in the same universe, and it's
right. Okay,
you can use it in the RPG as well.
All right, so let's talk about it for a few minutes if we can. Because I was intrigued by it, and my friend Roz, she lives local here. She loves anything you can play solo, and she's intrigued by it. And I know she does listen to the shows from time to time, and so she'll definitely listen to this one. So what is Plunderlust, and how is it? What is it as far as a game, but how does it connect and usable with Vast-Grimm?
Sure. So it's written and created by Duncan Hall, who was somebody that had backed some of my Kickstarters. He had done a game jam that I had created, and so I started following on itch. And he had released a Morkborg card game called 7-7. And I bought that, downloaded it, played it with my son, and I really liked how the gameplay worked, because it can be played solo where you're going and you're exploring locations. It's kind of like a dungeon crawl where you're exploring locations. It's filled with monsters. You fight them. You're trying to build up big enough gear and earn enough money so that you can unlock and defeat a boss monster.
Okay.
So when I downloaded and played it, and he had an open license, I was like, wow, I could just do a Vast-Grimm version of this. But I was like, I could, but I hate making mechanics, and he's already created a game, and he's published, but it's only digital. Why don't I reach out to him and see if he'd like to split the profit, him do all the writing side of it. He's already a fan of Vast-Grimm. I do all the pretty stuff and make it work and add some additional concepts for mechanics. And he hit the ground running. And he took existing characters from my supplement books, worked those in. So we have 7 different Space Pirate faction decks based off of the Space Pirates in my Space Raiders book. So each of the decks is based off of that. The cards themselves have hit points, armor, weapons. So when you're playing, if you're going to attack a monster, you're going to roll a d20 just like in the RPG. You're going to try and hit a 12. If you hit a 12, you hit. If you don't, that monster automatically hits you back. You've got armor just like in the RPG, so you soak damage. So the cards, as a GM, you can be like, hey, you run into so-and-so in the hall or on the bridge, and you have a visual reference. You have mechanics already on the card. So there's a lot of overlapping and ways to do it that way.
Okay, so not only is it a game, but those decks become for the role playing game side, they're your toolbox.
Yes, absolutely. You could get a bunch of equipment and gear. You could shuffle it up and have, like, if people are doing random searching, you could have them pull a piece of equipment from that. So yeah, it's you could get monsters and do random encounters that way.
See, I love toolboxes. Like anything as a GM, anything I can use as a toolbox to make my life easier.
Yes, totally.
Is for the win.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am the apex of lazy GM.
Right. I just want to make stuff up as I go. So anything that helps.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just a little bullet point, a little suggestion, either from your players or the games. Those are the best moments. Those are the brightest moments that most people end up talking about. It's just this thing happened. I don't know where it came from, but all the pieces fell in the right place, and we made it out. In one piece, or everything collapsed into a giant dumpster fire, and it's the best thing I've ever witnessed. So it's both of those.
Speaking of random stuff, have you guys seen my watches?
Your watches?
Yes.
No.
So I'm doing two right now.
Yes.
One is for Grimm. It's like a 1980s Swatch watch.
Oh
my God.
But inside the box, there's random encounter generators based on the hour and the minute. So the hour is like an adjective about what it is that you're encountering. And then I'm doing a Raptor Ruckus one as well, since I'm actually the publisher of Raptor Ruckus. So, just trying to make all the stuff I would have wanted when I was 13.
All right. So for listeners who can't see the video that we can see, holy shitballs, Batman. Those are fucking cool.
if it's not on your site, if you got maybe some pictures, we'll definitely share it on the site, as an accompaniment. But oh Jesus, see, this is, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, and again, I'm the one who spreads the appreciation. I'm Keith's the thinker, I'm the feely guy. Just the appreciation to this energetic aesthetic that you have for this. We all want these things in our lives, and some of us go looking for it, and sometimes find it, which is great. Meanwhile, others just go, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just going to make it myself. Yep. And maybe someone else might like it too. And this is the kind of energy and that keeps this hobby so interesting, so rolling and rolling along. And maintains, and the maintenance of that is likewise what keeps people like, Keith and I, and potentially you, I'm not going to guess your age, continuing to do this well into our 70s or 80s. It never gets old. It's always changing and reinventing. No,
we get old, but it never gets old.
No, but we stay, like, if I keep making stuff that I wanted, like in middle school, I'm always going to feel like a middle schooler, right? Mm-hmm. If I keep playing make believe, I hit 50 this year in September, so it's like, I need to keep being young.
Yeah, I'm just a big kid with gray hair.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's why I'm going to dye my hair again and crazy color, and so I can still be a kid again.
No, the one thing I never wanted to be, and I'm saying this because my dad's downstairs right now. So listeners, lean in. The one thing I never wanted to be is that particular person in their older age, watching the news 24 hours a day, and the only enjoyment they get out of life is essentially pushing customer service people around, mainly because there's no other interests that he has. There's no hobbies, no nothing such as that. And he doesn't listen to this, I guarantee you. So, but you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, it's not necessarily, I'm never going to, that thing when you're a kid, it's like, I'm never going to be like my dad or my mom. It's more of like, I want to be able to enjoy myself and maintain that bit of adolescent innocence and entertainment and openness to things that so many people lose when they follow the, it's time to hang up your childish things and become an adult. No, fuck that.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
So
I refuse to hang up my childhood.
So, I mean, it's mentioned twice. I'm not familiar with it, but I want to get to Raptor Ruckus, shortly. Sure. But a couple questions just I have on Grimm. Is there anything within the game itself that kind of makes it stand out, mechanics-wise, or anything that kind of will differentiate it from, like, the typical Morkborg game?
I think the thing that people enjoy the most, especially at the table, is worm infection.
Okay.
So lots of things are infected. If at a certain point people's or creatures' eyes turn like a like bioluminescent blue, they get pink cracks in their face and they turn into the Grimm, the alien hive mind zombie-like species. But you can be infected and not actually be a Grimm yet. So if a character gets infected, they roll to see which of the 6 worms they are infected by. And then every day they make a toughness test. If they fail the toughness test, they have a parasitic pain and have to roll on a table for that particular worm and how it affects them that day. If they succeed, they have a parasitic pleasure. The worm's happy to be in their host body and it gives you some sort of benefit. Eventually, the worms will take over and turn you into one of them, or you'll find a way to extract it. And once you've been infected by all 6 different types of worms, because you can only be infected by that type of worm once, you become one of the unscathed. And then the Grimm are like, they can sense like your pheromones, and it's like now you're being hunted by the Grimm in particular. So there's a lot of weird, funny body horror stuff on that aspect. At conventions, I have my pencils, which are 6-sided. So if you get infected by the worm, you roll the pencil to see which worm you got infected by. So there's lots of, good, fun stuff with that.
So you mentioned previously you don't like writing rules.
Correct.
So, but then Morkborg came along.
Yes.
So how did that change when your mind blew up with Morkborg, right? And then Vast Grimm started kind of becoming a reality. I know you have a co-author with the game.
Yep.
Was it a 50-50 on kind of the rules, or
no? So, because we've been friends for a long time, and we've been gaming together for a long time, because I've always, in my projects, I always try and bring somebody in and see if they want to, like, hey, I'm going to do this and this has changed my life and now I want to do this forever. Or they're like, this is my one thing and that was cool, but I don't have time because I've got to go back to the real world stuff, right? So Ross, he's contributed to the core book and a little bit of adventures that haven't been published, but most of that, like, he just doesn't have time for it. So I did 75% of the writing. He did 25%. I did 75% of graphic design. He's also a graphic designer, so he did 25% of that. We brought in some art from some of our friends as well. So, but as we went through the concepting it and talking through ideas and things like that, we'd get on, like, he's an hour away because I'm in West Georgia and he's in Atlanta. We'd get on video calls regularly and kind of talk through ideas, but we each kind of developed stuff, but we also, like, really followed the Morkborg rule set as far as building that out initially. So I didn't really have to write rules. I just had to add a couple of new rules and tweak a couple of things. So it wasn't really, and because it's OSR, who cares if it's balanced? Sometimes you just got to run,
Fair. That is spot on. There's no shame in running.
Yeah. And then with the newer stuff, I've added more rules to it to a degree. It's not really crunchy, but there's now, like, keywords, which now go between the card game Squirmish, which is the miniature skirmish game that's based on Forbidden Psalms, and then Vast Grimm. I now have things that tie it all together to make it so that it's even more cross-compatible amongst the 3 games. Okay.
Interesting. I do want to ask you a question on the Free RPG Day.
Yes.
So you did that, what was that, 2021-ish?
It would have been 2021 because we crowdfunded it in July of 2021, released it in September of 2022, the core book, and then 6 more hardcovers and then a bunch of zines since then.
Right. Okay. So you participated in the Free RPG Day with that one time you participated with, and
we're doing
module.
it again.
You are? Okay.
Yes.
So even okay, so my question now even is more interesting.
Yes.
In my opinion. So how was that experience participating in the Free RPG Day several years ago? Mm-hmm. Now knowing you're going to participate again,
yep.
I kind of guess where that answer is going to fall, but I'm generally curious. Like, how was that from both, as a publisher? How was that experience?
Sure. So at the time, Vast Grimm was published by Infinite Black, who was my employer at the time. Okay. So it's a little different. So this time I'm publishing it myself because everything now is published by me by Creature Curation. So the problem with it the first time around is we thought the core book and everything would be out to backers by the time Free RPG Day hit, and it wasn't out because that was in June. It wasn't out until the following September. So there
Okay.
there wasn't a way to like really see direct financial success in it. But like as years went by, I would still see people who had played it who then picked it up later. So, it's all that trickle effect of just doing branding, getting things out there, getting people aware of the game. This year I'm doing Creature Curation Presents. If you're comic book fans at all, Dark Horse Presents was a big influence on my life, on my childhood growing up, having an anthology. So we have a Vast Grimm adventure, we've got a Raptor Ruckus adventure, and a Neon Bastards, which is a Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland Morkborg hack that Brian's working on that I'm going to publish. So I wanted to create a book that had all like the three bigger titles that I imagine I will, as I'm growing into more of a publisher role and not just me making my own stuff, trying to get all of our stuff out there.
Awesome. Okay.
We need to get Brian on here. Brian Shutter from Neon Lords. I don't know if you've had a moment with that game, Keith, but good Lord, it is just superb. Brian was very kind enough to I spoke about it on my own channel, just kind of gave first impression, and he was kind enough to send me the updated version, awesome. For free to review, and I just adore just that everything in that game. It's literally everything that people just like, I'm kind of tired of the fantasy dungeon crawl kind of thing. I'm like, oh, no, you're not. Check this out. So one more question, and this may be more of just like the whole aspect of yourself and creature creation. So one of, and I wouldn't say it's important, but it's a part of the Morkborg aesthetic, music. Does Vast Grimm have any sort of discography or music that you've produced for Vast Grimm like they've done with Morkborg? And if not, does your game contain any sort of suggestions for, hey, this is gonna complement what we're doing with this?
We did release 2 cassettes.
Okay.
And they were by my friend Chris did the music for those. They were more like more synth type music, not like kind of dungeon synthy, but more space synthy. And then the J card itself that opened up, one side was a map of a space container basically, and then the other side was an adventure. We did 2 of those. There were going to be 6. They were all going to be based off of the individual worms, but with the transition from going from someone else publishing it to me publishing it, I just haven't gotten back to the next 4. And let's see. I thought the cassettes were right there, and I could just pull it out and show you the J cards, right? But that's good. I don't have a discography list. I've talked like in my Discord about things that I listen to, and if you look through some of the different books, you'll see like song titles of different punk bands and things like that. Like there's a adventure called "I Want Your Skulls," which is a Misfit song. One of the main like monsters in the book is Astro Zombies, and like there's lots of little nods if you know what you're looking for. Right. But yeah, that's what I gravitate towards. Excellent.
All right, so Raptor Ruckus.
Yes.
Again, that's been mentioned, and I just pulled it up. Congratulations on the Kickstarter, and again, we've mentioned several times. We want to be young. Inside, even though outside we're not. Yes. But one of those things, of course, is for many of us the never-ending childhood fascination with dinosaurs. Right? So what can you tell us about Raptor Ruckus?
So it's a Jurassic Park inspired Borg hack. Zach, who is the project leader of this, you may know he's the marketing director over at Limithron.
Okay. Yes.
And so he organized the whole team. He had pulled in the various writers, the various artists. I did a lot of art for it, taking existing art and bashing it in a similar way that I do with like photo bashing with some of the Vast Grimm stuff that I don't sculpt. So I've actually done a lot more art than I thought I was going to when he first asked me to publish it. And the reason he asked me to publish it is he has a full-time job working for another company, and he needs somebody to represent it at conventions, get it into distribution, all that sort of things. And, you go to enough shows, you make friends with everybody, you make family with people, and like you just try and help each other out as much as you can. So this, there's core book. There's the Fragments book, which is a campaign style book. There's lots of additional set pieces, which are like one-shot adventures. 4 more were just announced in the last Kickstarter update. This has a lot of content to it already, just from the first release, which is will hopefully have for Gen Con this year, because we're scheduling games. But this is one that I think is going to resonate with people. Like, Vast Grimm resonates with me, and that's all that matters. This one I think is going to resonate with a much larger audience, and I think it has much. I think it's going to go far. Yeah.
No, I listened to half of that because I'm looking at the the Kickstarter page going, it's all like rama, and in my mind I'm like, Dino. Oh, I want that.
His 7-year-old brain is going.
Yeah, just like
I see the drool coming out of your mouth right now.
Right, I'm like,
he's imagining
Spinosaurus
at the table again.
No, it is awesome, and just the artwork. I'm the GM screen.
Yes.
Keith, we're gonna have to put a lot of artwork on the page for this, but the GM screen is just stupendous, and who doesn't want to run through a dinosaur containment amusement park and see who can survive and see how long they can last.
I just like the idea that I can go to like a craft store and buy a tube of dinos and bring them to the table.
Yeah. And you're ready to go.
Yeah. Like, no shit.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And that backer kit, the late pledges just opened up on that as well. So
okay. Very cool.
Oh,
yeah, if you happen to see on your site, a receipt from Scott at orcustorcus.com, that's
thank you.
You're welcome. But no, and this is no shortage of stuff for this. I love it. So, personal question. This is just so I've heard several times that you sculpted several things.
Yes.
My wife, she's an art teacher. She is a ceramicist. So I'm just kind of curious. This is for me. What mediums do you work in when you're doing your sculpting?
I primarily use Magic Sculpt, a 2-part epoxy.
Okay.
I usually start with a styrofoam base, although I'm starting to explore doing cardboard bases just to have a cheaper, lighter build, and then doing aluminum foil over top of that, and then doing Magic Sculpt. I started out so years and years ago, I self-published comic books, and that's a lot of work, and people don't want sci-fi Western watercolor painted comic books in 2004, right? So I started. I got into the vinyl toy scene. It was big with graphic designers and graffiti artists and things like that. And I started sculpting on that. And one of the bigger people in the industry, when I was just using Sculpey, said, "Hey, you should get this Magic Sculpt stuff." And the only place I could find it at the time was a taxidermy shop. So I ordered it from them. And then like a couple months later, they sent me a big, thick, like phone book sized catalog of all their stuff. And so I started ordering their fake fish eyes, and my stuff started looking more and more realistic. And then one day I ordered one of the big styrofoam like deer heads that you would mount the hide to. And then I started sculpting on that. And that's when all of my stuff started getting bigger and weirder and more creaturey.
Oh, excellent.
That is strangely interesting. I don't know why, but that is just strangely interesting.
Yeah, I think the very first thing I seen. So what I was going to show you, you my Warhound, which is up in the corner, which is the very first Vast Grimm sculpture I did.
Okay. That's fine. Again, pictures. Send us pictures or point us to if they're located online when we're done. But yeah, we may have to post the video of this, Keith, if it keeps going this way. So, no, but
so
okay,
many cool
Keith.
like doodads and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, carry on, Keith. What more do you have for our friend Brian here regarding his?
So we're on the subject of art. So obviously, we know you're an artist through and through. You have a background in it. What is where do you get your inspiration from?
Everywhere.
What's that nexus?
I mean, you've got to take it from everywhere. I get it from the cartoons I watched as a kid, the movies, people, just conversations, books that I read. I think if you don't take it from everywhere, you're probably lying.
Okay, fair.
Because like everything influences us, and then just finding random things like the space station that's up above my head, the little things that stick out the most. Those are little like single serving Pringles cups that my kids ate out of. So like you just have to find trash and be like, what can I use that for?
I think it helps if you're one of those kids like myself, and I kind of have a feeling Brian might be this way too. I'm not, and Keith maybe so, but you remember when you were little and you would look at something like, I don't know, like say you're in the bathroom and you see your mom's razor that she uses. You don't see a razor though. What you see is a long spaceship,
right?
With short little wings, and and all of a sudden everything around you becomes, these wonderful items, and now to other people you're sitting there, flying a razor around. What's wrong with that kid? Yeah. Meanwhile, that razor is fighting the scissor ship, which is going to expand its lasers and shoot at two different people at once. So yeah, I get the inspiration is just, if people can just keep just even 10% of that, what they carry with them, they're going to benefit from that. At the very least, just it will keep them younger and quite potentially let them live longer. Because there's nothing worse than shutting yourself off to imagination that just makes the wrinkles start to come out quicker.
Right? I also think that with the creativity, sometimes you have to force yourself to just do it. Because if you push through it, if you find yourself at a block and you push through it, you're going to keep doing it. And your brain's going to get to things faster without having to actually think about it. It's just going to come naturally. Like I always have at least 3 projects that I'm working on at any one time, just so that if I do get stuck, I can jump here and then maybe it'll unlock something in the back of my brain that I wasn't thinking about for the project that I was just stumped on.
Yeah.
Hear that, Keith? Brian says we need to finish that fucking Call of Cthulhu scenario.
Yes, yeah, I know we do. I need to finish about like 5 of them.
I know. But oh man, but yeah, hey, well, a lot of times well, I guess so. It does. Are you entirely independent then, as far as creature curation? So that's we're kind of getting the sticky of it, but that is like your major source of income.
That is my only source of income. Okay. If I'm not a carny on the road going convention to convention, or hustling a crowdfunding thing, or selling the stuff on my website, I'm not paying my mortgage. So yes, but it's like there's big wins, there's slow times, but I couldn't imagine ever doing anything else at this point. Being able to play games with people, make new friends all the time, it's fantastic.
I agree.
I wish I could do it full time. I'm only like part time as a freelance editor, and I just love doing that part.
Yes.
So
at one point I just had to just jump, and I just had to believe in myself enough and know that like if it's going to be hard, I just have to hustle harder, and I'll make it work. And that's like why I crank out stuff and I make stuff all the time, and I know who I am. I know that I'm constantly going to be making stuff. So it's not that hard to make a little bit more money to make things work. And then 2017 was when I incorporated creature curation. And so I go to conventions. I know everybody. I've been, you be nice to people. You help people out if they need something lifted or something put up, or you need a hand truck, here, take mine. It's easy to make friends, and we all support each other one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we tend to find that as a common theme with everybody we bring on the show, and they talk about their connections within the industry. Mm-hmm. 'Cause that's how they, a lot of people they make their connections, and then it's like, well, how did you get in with this company? Well, I made connections, or I badgered them long enough and hard enough. They're like, well, they finally got to know who I was, and then they got to see my work, and then they're like, oh, hey, do you want to do a project for us? Or you got anything you're cooking up? Let me see what you got. And that tends to be an ongoing theme. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm much better in person than I am online. I just can't communicate. I always second guess how someone's going to read inflection or any stuff like that. So I would meet you at a convention. You're probably going to get a hug by the time we've done it. We're done talking. Most likely we've become friends.
I think that holds true, generally speaking, for most everyone, because this type of interaction, these bonds that occur, whether they be in person, communicating like we are, or physically somewhere, these are how these bonds are created and how they continue to maintain themselves and exist. Whereas most of those things either die or get mistranslated through discourse online.
Yeah.
I've said it many times before. Hey, you know what social media is for? Hey, guess what? Skeleton Crew's coming out, everyone. Check it out.
Right.
Not, what are the finer aesthetics of what it means to be and represent the OSR world.
Yes.
OSR world, fucking, gray beards, living in their basement. I don't want to, wait, what, are you a purple hair? Because if you're a purple hair, I don't want to fucking talk to you.
Neckbeards versus gray beards. Oh God, here we go again.
And it's not just that, it's all of that. And mind you, you can, if you're lucky, you may get a bit of a discourse, but for the most part, if it's not a meme or it's a funny joke or just, thinking people or pointing something out, very just non-divisive. If I see someone say, what the problem with the industry is in role-playing games, here's the beginning of one of my 25-part thread. It's like,
I'm out. Nope. I check out.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope. I'm looking at the cat meme, reading the player's handbook.
If you think there's something wrong with the industry, you're sitting at the wrong table.
Right.
Right.
So,
excuse Brian, me. Is there anything like you want listeners to know that we haven't touched on yet about any of your particular products? So I know we've mentioned specific products, or you've mentioned specific products we haven't really covered, like your skirmish game.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to talk about?
Sure. Well, Skirmish I just shipped that out to almost all the backers, so that's going to be available probably in the next week or two online. That's skirmish games set in the same universe as Vast Grimm. You have 5 characters in your crew. They're just kind of like a stripped down version of characters from the RPG, which can also be converted into a full character in the RPG if you want to.
Okay.
And it's going through like 2-foot by 2-foot scenarios. You can play 1 to 4 players. It's based off of the Forbidden Psalms rules, which was a hack of Borgs. So I hacked that in the same way. It all overlaps. You can easily translate those into RPG adventures as well, and a lot of the mechanics from that are now translated into the newest version of Vast Grimm. So there's a lot of overlap in how keywords are working and like how things like that are all kind of cohesive to make it a more unified system for all 3 games. Okay. And that'll be available at creaturecuration.com once that's up in probably a week or two. I don't know when this is going live, so. Probably around-ish this time.
Okay. On that, so with the new version of Vast Grimm, right, the modular version.
Yes.
Is the price point for that in comparison to the older hardcover version?
So, yes. So because I'm printing them locally and not in China, each zine is roughly going to retail for $18. So. Okay. The crew member manual and the network operator manual are really all you would need. And the black and white version, the skeleton crew version of Vast Grimm that PDF is free for anybody to play. If you just want to play my game, there's that. There's 2 adventures online that are PDFs for free. There's I Want Your Skulls and Into the Wormhole. The updated the things that are going to be updated for the new version, there will be free PDFs of that. So anybody that's spent money already, I don't want you to have to spend more money. Like, unless you just want to, I want you to have all the updated stuff. Those will be downloadable PDFs that are free to everybody. Okay. Yeah.
So contribution-wise, I mean, obviously you intermingle with several familiar names and within the hobby. Is there anyone's work that you've contributed to where people can find you outside of Vast Grimm or Creature Curation?
Let's see. What have I done? I feel like I've done more.
I'm fairly sure you have. I've seen your name elsewhere, but it's okay.
So,
we're 50.
I've been like a guest artist, like done like a monster and here or there, things like that. Nothing really major. I know you guys had mentioned Crawling Death earlier. That's another book that I published, but that was like, I've done a bunch of Vast Grimm stuff. Maybe I should do a real Borg adventure right. to do something. And that used the cartography that I had mentioned as the first foray into this industry as well, in that book. But I'm doing monsters for a handful of other Borg related folks in various people that are currently in different Kickstarter phases. I'm a little bit behind because I've had some life stuff in the past couple of months that has kind of thrown my schedule off a little bit. So before I announce that I've gotten I'm done with those, I should have finished them and then say that I'm in them.
Oh, yeah, Keith, you're supposed to tell me when I throw someone under the bus so I don't do it again.
Yeah, I'm cool to talk about whatever.
Okay.
I don't know nothing.
Man. Oh, man. So I'm going to point out one more thing, Keith, and then if you have anything else, we'll see about wrapping it up. But again, going through creature creation, I just saw probably one of the cutest things that I've seen in a long time, as far as what led to the creation of World of Revilo or Revilo?
Revilo? Yes.
Yeah, Revilo. Thank you.
And that was my 5e setting that I ended up doing pre-pandemic.
Sure. But why don't you let listeners know what led to that creation? Because it's I find it interesting as a father.
Yeah. So at the time, when I had mentioned like my son only wanting like the 5e stats and stuff, so I started creating the creatures when before he was born. And so we knew that his middle name was going to be Oliver. So we decided to name the world Revilo, which is Oliver backwards. And so that was kind of the fruition of it and creating a weird setting. And then like now both of my kids play RPGs all like regularly. They come up to RPG night with me that I host. And we created a game called Over the Troll Bridge together, which is a zine RPG that I ran for a kids group for a long period of time. So yeah, having them involved is very important.
Oh, very cool. And mind you, you've got an example of what looks to be your sculpture work here. Your drawing seems to be lacking a little bit, though.
You can't be everything.
Just so you know, Keith, it looks like there's a picture, drawn by his son.
Oh yes, one of the fire turtles. Yeah, so I would have him draw stuff, and then I would translate that into weird creatures.
Oh man!
So speaking of interesting,
go ahead,
can you explain? So I looked you up on RPG Geek.
Okay.
I
don't know what's there.
And this is attributed to you.
Okay.
Can you explain what the duck?
I cannot. Oh yes, I can. Yes, totally. What was that? That was an itch game jam. Hang on, I need to check because my brain, I'm old now. I don't remember stuff that I've made.
Oh, here I can share my screen.
Oh,
it was. I don't even remember what game jam that was from.
So for listeners, because you can't see the screen I'm sharing, it is a big, beefy, muscular, looks like a He-Man.
With a He-Man figure
He-Man figure with a duck's head, yellow background, and it says "What the duck?" ? And it's a Morkborg compatible little zine cover. Yeah.
Yeah. It was part of a game jam, and I thought it was a little dungeon, and I made that weird Dr. Doom be the big bad in it.
Nice. Okay. Nice.
Never take yourself too seriously. Put stuff that's fun out, and yeah.
No. We've had an interesting discussion. I was on a podcast, and they were talking about humor in horror role-playing games. And a lot of it was discussions of can it exist? And me, I'm like, oh, not only can it exist, it needs to exist.
You've got to offset the tension, and yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Keith, do you have anything else for our guest here? Because this has been a very interesting conversation. I think we've covered just about everything. And if not, listeners, we'll have links to various locations where you can find Brian's work and likewise work that he's associated with. And I'm also just because I'm going to put a link to Neon Lords, if you don't mind, Brian, on there also, just to kind of point people in the right direction to that. So, this has been a wonderful discussion with what, I think we would like to consider
Actually, I do have one other question.
Yes.
Go ahead. Totally.
It's something we do ask everybody. Yep. Besides your website, if people want to find you or your products besides your website, I know you go to a lot of shows, a lot of conventions.
Oh yeah.
Where can folks find you outside of your website and your stuff?
I'm hitting 12 conventions, maybe 13 this year, because my
Nice.
friend Doug is trying to convince me to do another one, and I may just do it. So I'm going to be all over the Midwest to East Coast. If you go to the website and look at events, you'll be able to see where I will be in person.
Okay.
The best place to really find me and really find me is on the Grimm Place Discord. That's like where I am very comfortable just chatting and being who I am. And we talked before about social media. I feel it's different because it's really real conversations. And I genuinely, a lot of the people are people I've met at conventions or in real life and at various places. So that's the best place to find me, because that's where, if you have a question, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. This Discord's not G+, but it'll do for now. So, but well, Brian.
Yes.
Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
You are most definitely, we would consider you to be a Renaissance man of the hobby with all the things you're doing.
Thank you.
And I think we wish you, vast success. And definitely, don't be a stranger when it comes to the podcast. Would love to have you back on.
I'd love to come back.
And by the way, if if you have 2 extra ones lying around, you can always float Keith and I on one of your skate decks to put on our wall.
Awesome. Yep. Will I see either of you in person this year?
You will. You will see me in November at
Awesome.
Mythicon again.
Cool. Fantastic.
My wife is a fine contributor to their charity auction that they do.
Awesome.
So she donated enough that I got my badge included in all of that again
Wonderful.
this year.
Cool. I'm going to bring my kids this year to that one because I think they're going to enjoy the
I'm going to try to bring my
crafting part.
granddaughter this year. So
Awesome.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my con schedule is probably just going to be Chaosium Con and maybe a Strategic Con. Keith and I are trying to get to Origins one year, so possibly next year. And Gen Con, Gen Con's Gen Con, but I think we kind of it's just too big. We want to go. So looking at your schedule, not this year, but next year. Maybe Keith has been out here once. Maybe 1 year I can make a trip out to MythicCon.
Cool.
And then realize why I love living in California.
Fact.
Yep. PAX U might be a good one for you with all the RPG stuff. PAX U has is really well attended. It's got a lot of great publishers there. There's good food close by.
Yeah, that's Philly. They're in Philly, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
December. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Whatever works. It's gonna be a long time before our UK friends come visit us here in the States.
Right. Yep.
So we'll try to placate that with some different cons until they can come out and see us. So again, Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been an interesting conversation. And listeners, definitely go to the description to find everything you can about Vast Grimm and Brian's creations. And maybe, depending on your very busy schedule, I'm sure, but we like to invite, the creators to see if we can bend their arm. Maybe they can come on and do a little one-shot for us to give the listeners an idea of how the game plays. So, maybe we can see about doing that in the near future because people love APs. They don't like listening to our fucking voices. It's number
all
one.
I hear is Charlie Brown sometimes.
Pendragon actual play is still our number one ever for some reason, even though we've bled our hearts every year. So. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Titter Pigs. Bye-bye.
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 Now all together.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.